Hello, Cryptonauts, and welcome back to another episode of Cryptocurrency Chat. I'm your host, Jake Jabarelli, joined by my no co-host tonight. Sorry, Mike is indisposed, and John is out of the country, if you can believe it. I can't believe it. No, he goes there all the time. It's fine. Anyways, thanks for joining us on chat, John, and Polytech High. I appreciate having at least some people watching the show. Let's get into the news. Coin Center says Restrict Act could be used to ban Bitcoin? What? Ban Bitcoin? How is that even possible? Though it primarily targets companies like TikTok, the bill's advocacy language is much too broad, according to Crypto Advocacy Group, in particular, this coin group, was blogging about it, and saying that the Restrict Act is primarily for foreign entities, and there are more legally statutes within the rules. But it's kind of an overreach thing, as almost every single bill that has ever been introduced in the last probably 30 years is. The main language of the bill basically says the Restrict Act targets foreign entities that the United States is not friends with, like North Korea, Russia, China. And if those countries create an application, or if, it has some control over it, the CCP pretty much has control over every single company in its borders to do whatever it wants with them. It's not necessarily true of Russia, but I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. In any case, it says it only for entities that are foreign, and only for entities that we're not friends with, and only for entities that make an app with more than 1 million users. So if you're like 10K, they don't care. Obviously, we know TikTok is like 150 million users, so they definitely do care in that case. But the overreach of the bill seems to say that if you're going to be doing things like this in here particularly, so to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, mitigate transactions involving information and communication technology products in which any foreign adversary has any interest, and that's the key. Any interest, not necessarily like money interest, but interest in the sense of, well, do they like doing this thing? And Russia was, as we know, using Bitcoin to transfer cash when they were being cut off by sanctions in the foreign or Western countries like Western Europe and the United States. And so, of course, they would have some level of interest in Bitcoin. And then at that point, that means that because the United States can't control Bitcoin, or at least not easily, and foreign entities have interest in it, they're going to basically say, if you deal with this thing that this foreign entity does, you're now breaking the law. And the bill in particular carries some pretty hefty fines. Now, I don't think it says it in the article here, but they say somewhere between $25,000 and $1 million fine. I'm not entirely sure how they figure those fines out exactly, whether or not what you've done is particularly bad, but it's still a concern for regular citizens who just want to use Bitcoin the way everyone else is using it. And it just feels very isolationist. I'm not saying it's ultimately a bad thing. It's just that, as I said at the beginning, these rules tend to overreach. And in fact, I remember somebody commenting earlier today on a TikTok video I was watching that said, Patriot Act anyone? Patriot Act anyone? They were comparing the Restrict Act to the Patriot Act. So government overreach for the sake of trying to keep its citizens safe is not a good excuse. So it looks like at this point TikTok probably will get banned. But it's the language is never about what's really going on. Anyways, moving on to Paxful. So I was really excited about this when I first read this article because I was like, hey, Paxful vows to refund Celsius earned bankruptcy victims, right? Earned victims, people who were in the other program that apparently was part of the money-making part that was not custodial. The people who were basically told, sorry, you gave the money to us, you don't get it back. And they even won a lawsuit over that. That the district attorney in that state is now suing Alex Mashinsky over that issue because they're basically saying, like, nobody would give you money if they weren't going to give it back to them. So, anyways, let's see here. So, Yusuf, CEO of peer-to-peer Bitcoin marketplace Paxful has agreed to refund all affected users of its Paxful Earn product, which let users earn a yield on their Bitcoin in partnership with Celsius. So if you had Bitcoin in Paxful in the Earn product, you'll get your money back. I don't have any Bitcoin and I didn't use Paxful. So it's kind of a weird headline. It feels kind of clickbaity, but at the same time, it's still associated with Celsius. So if you were using Paxful and you were doing the Earn deal in conjunction with Celsius and you lost money, they'll give you your money back. And it's not going to be like 94% back. It's going to be all percent back, according to the article. So I will say that's pretty awesome that they're willing to do that. Now, if we could just convince Mashinsky to give everyone else their money back, which he may not be able to do because I don't think he even has it. So, yeah. All right, that was a short article. I'm going to jump over to the one that John suggested earlier. Pull it over here. So, Bitcoin, Ethereum falls as the CFTC sues Binance and CEO Changpeng Zhao. Regulator lawsuit alleges that Binance violated derivative trading rules in the U.S. This is kind of what's happening with Coinbase. So basically, if you were, offering what Gary Gensler calls securities, then you're probably going to get in trouble. A leading cryptocurrency exchange by trading volume, that's Binance, of course, were sued on Monday by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, or the CFTC. And the U.S. regulator alleged that Zhao and his company violated trading and derivatives rules according to the lawsuit. So what is it exactly? Now, Zhao, of course, is kind of like, yeah, right, guys, sure. Tweeting just the number 4 in particular and reflective of his January tweets. It means to ignore the fear, unrest, and doubt, fake news, attacks, etc. I don't know. Is that a dog whistle? The number 4 becomes a dog whistle. I thought he was playing golf. No. Anyway, so apparently, since Binance has existed for a while, they're basically saying that since 2019, it has allowed residents of the U.S. to trade futures, swaps, and options on cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Yeah, no, they've been doing that. But the way it seems to be going, at least according to the way that Gensler has been pointing this out, is it's like, hey, you know the rules about how we do this. You can't just take a quote-unquote fake, coin and do the same thing somewhere else. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, cryptocurrency is unregulated at this point. So what are you saying, Mr. Gensler? Are you saying that, if we did this with famous paintings or with Beanie Babies, would you take the same approach? And a lot of people are kind of like saying it from that same standpoint is that Bitcoin itself is not that kind of thing. It is a store of value. People will recognize that Bitcoin is a store of value, but it is not a security. Yes, people are expecting the price to go up, but if they are, they're also going to notice that the price is going down just as much. Now, if people are trying to use Bitcoin on their taxes in the sense of saying, well, I lost money, you guys need to pay me the difference, and say, look, I lost value. I need, when I exercise that, I need to get reduction in taxes, but they're not willing to pay taxes on the way up, then I agree with Mr. Gensler that it is a security. But if people aren't doing it either way, if they're not taking taxes out or in, I don't see any problem with it whatsoever. So you can't have it both ways, as they say. You have your cake and eat it too. Binance, Zhao, and other employees of the exchange knew they were required to register Binance with the CFTC after soliciting customers in the U.S., the lawsuit claims. They've all chosen to ignore those requirements and undermine Binance's ineffective compliance program. If Uncle Sam can't get his take, he will take you to jail. At least that's what it seems like is going on here. So, the defendant's own emails and chats reflect that Binance compliance efforts have been a sham, and Binance deliberately chose over and over to place profits over following the law, according to Gretchen Lowe. So, we'll see if they have a case, but I think Binance is going to go like, yeah, right. Moving on. Kevin Smith, Web3 Film Fund Decentralized Pictures, awarded $40,000 to comedy filmmakers. Stoner comedy Holy Smokes scoops the top award from Roman Coppola's decentralized film financing platform. I'm pretty cool. I think it's pretty awesome that Kevin Smith is getting involved here, and awarding a cash prize to this screenplay award, the short film script. Holy smokes! Now, of course, it's kind of right up his alley, right? What's Kevin Smith famous for? Clerks, Mallrats, and other stoner related, since his character Silent Bob and his friend what's his name, Jay, are stoners in all the movies. So it kind of makes sense if we go along with this. So let's just read about this in particular here. Gabby Fisman and Isabella Aries. Film is billed as a dark stoner comedy that features Latinx representation of Catholic school survivors Emma and Lauren embark on a sin-filled road trip. And I can't imagine that they weren't somehow inspired by something that Kevin Smith wrote in the past. Representation matters. What we see, this is a tweet from Decentralized Pictures, what we see in the media dictates how we think about the world. 2023's first spotlight goes to Gabby and Isabella and their comedy project, Holy Smokes, which you can check out and vote for in DCP, that's Decentralized Pictures, right now. And here's a link to it. You guys can check that out. Yeah, I'm stoked. This is really cool to see an award for this to this end. But let's just get into what is Decentralized Pictures real quick here. Evergreen Self-Sustaining Film Fund, a non-profit Decentralized Pictures, uses a DAO-like structure in which holders of its native tokens of film credits vote on which projects should be considered for funding rewards. A portion of profits from features backed by the fund return to DCP, where they're used to finance further funding rounds. So is this kind of like Please Your DAO, but for budding film artists? Not that Please Your DAO probably couldn't do that, since they work on almost everything. But yeah, I'm totally in favor of this. It's great. It's great to see this kind of thing going on in the Web3 space as another mode of promoting new and different ways of creating content. So, way to go. Awesome. Thank you, Kevin Smith. You rock. Moving on. So this is kind of a article kind of up the alley for me, personally, although I'm not as actively mining as I was 3 months ago. New Texas Senate bill seeks to slash Bitcoin mining incentives. So let me give a little backstory on what we're talking about here. A project idea that I had nearly a year ago, which Riot Blockchain was actually already doing, but just in Texas, not in California, was to build up a massive mining farm, and then all the excess power that was being sold for cheap was being used for mining Bitcoin at all hours whenever possible. And then when they had the horrible Texas heat wave back in the summer of 2022, for one, I think it was 3 days actually, not 1 day, there was an incentive by, I can't remember the name of the company that Texas uses for all its power, but it is one company. ERCOT, that's what it is. Basically, it awarded $9.5 million to Riot Blockchain in exchange for them turning off their machines. And I was like, this is brilliant. See, this is what we need. And the reason I say that is, and I've given examples, I have so many pitches I've did to so many different companies and individuals about why this is a good idea. In California, there's a lot of renewable resources, and Texas there are too. Texas uses solar, a lot of solar, and a lot of wind power. Now, there's a really, really, really windy place here in California, Altamont Pass, just east of the San Francisco Bay Area, that is windy nonstop, year-round. It's constantly windy over the pass, and so it's a place where a lot of windmills have been installed. A lot. If you ever drive through the Bay Area on the east side of Highway 580, you will see hundreds of windmills lining the hillsides around that area, kind of Livermore, Pleasanton area, and on the way out to Tracy. And why are they all out there? Well, it's very windy all the time, so you're guaranteed to get wind. But the thing that's funny to me is when I drive out there and see windmills that aren't running. Now, they could be under maintenance. It's entirely possible. That you do need to make sure that you're maintaining your windmills so they'll fall down. And I'm not joking about that. They will fall down. But one of the reasons is, particularly in the morning, is we just don't need the power. And the problem with that is that it's just all this potential power, and particularly when it comes to like natural gas, which California actually depends not entirely, but pretty heavily on. It's the only remaining, what's it called, fossil fuel that California still uses. But you can't turn natural gas off. You can't just flip a switch and say, like you do with your stove or your oven. You can't just off and then not using it. No. For the power plants, you got to leave it on all the time, which means in order to deal with the fact that nobody needs the power in the morning, they just burn it. They just burn it off. You've probably seen these maybe along the road if you've driven anywhere that's near a natural gas power plant. It's just gigantic flame on top of a pole. They're just burning all the natural gas off because they can't put any more into the tanks, and they can't use it to burn to make energy. So this solves the problem. Mining solves the problem. It's basically saying, hey, we've got a lot of excess power. It's super cheap because nobody wants it in the morning, early morning, and the miner's like, we'll take it. We'll take all of it. But this bill seeks to cancel that incentive. And I think this is the dumbest thing ever. I just don't understand it at all. They don't get it. They just don't get it. They don't really want the miners to be in control of their power when the fact of the matter is the miners are perfectly happy to give it up because they can. No other company can really just decide suddenly to turn off their equipment. A mining machine can be turned off, within seconds or milliseconds even. But a regular business machine where you're trying to make a profit, the ramp up and ramp down times are usually pretty long. Ramp times for miners is really quick. So this is where it's practical for mining to be in this space, but Texas doesn't understand. What are you saying there, John? Oh yeah, no, that's right. Sometimes they turn it off for blade damage. That's true. Yeah, you have a limit of speed, but that can also be controlled with the gearing inside the machine. So they don't just let any fan run or windmill run up to maximum speed. They have to control it. But you're right. If it does get ridiculously windy up there, then they do tend to turn them off. But I mean, hey, if it's ridiculous windy and there are some of them still running, why are those ones running and not all of them? So I've seen the demand for power in California. We have plenty, which means we should be sucking up all the excess with mining. Anyways, moving on. Jack Dorsey backed Spiral plots course for mainstream adoption of Bitcoin's Lightning Network. The LDK Lightning Network implementation being developed by Jack Dorsey's backed Spiral company has got big plans to improve the way payments can be made on Bitcoin. So what is he doing? What's Jack Dorsey trying to do here? Lightning Development Kit, the LDK, a project from Bitcoin open source, right? Spiral program. I plan to some tech improvements during a Twitter Spaces I plan to over the next year. Let's see here. For one, there's a difference between custodial and non-custodial mobile wallets. Custodial wallets require the user to trust the wallet provider with their funds, while non-custodial wallets give them sole control over their funds. Lightning Network is a pretty good user experience today for custodial Lightning Network wallets. However, there remain substantial problems with user experience, privacy, and scaling for non-custodial Lightning wallets. So the roadmap here in particular shows. But let's talk about the user experience improvements in particular. Let's see here. Lightning LDK isn't a node. Developers can build custom Lightning nodes that suits their needs. Key feature in the roadmap of the Node Mobile, which offers an easier setup for creating a node. Nodes are a key piece of any Lightning app. They connect the app to the rest of the network, allowing users to send and receive payments. So another unique feature is what's called asynchronous payments. One of the irritating problems mobile users of Lightning face is if they try to send a mobile payment to a friend, the friend needs to be online to receive the payment. Otherwise, the payments will fail. Hovering over a phone to wait for your payment sort of defeats the purpose of Lightning speed payments. Users don't have to deal with that when they're sending a Venmo payment, so why do they need to do it with Bitcoin? So Spiral developer, longtime Bitcoin contributor Matt Corral released a proposal to show the entire map. So, improving on Lightning Network. I'm totally in favor of this. Really happy with the idea that. Yeah, you're right. He's working on Blue Sky 2. That's true, but that's not mentioned in this article. So another big win for privacy, of course, is Taproot. We've talked about Taproot as being the reason for ordinals on Bitcoin in particular, but. Slowing effects of Taproot are rippling out to Bitcoin projects like Lightning. Taproot will shield Lightning transactions, giving them invisibility so that they look exactly the same as normal Bitcoin transactions. So lots of improvements, lots of things happening. We're really excited about the ideas that Dorsey is backing in this spiral project he's doing on Lightning. Lightning just makes Bitcoin just that much faster, right? Right now it takes roughly 10 minutes to an hour to transact on Bitcoin, whereas Lightning can happen within seconds. And it's still Bitcoin. So, all right, last article. Tested on Ethereum, Starkware's zero-knowledge proofs, or ZKPs, are now live on Bitcoin. Zero-knowledge proofs are developed by Ethereum scaling firm Starkware. They're now making their debut. What is this thing? I mean, it's great. We're talking about it. What is a zero-knowledge proof? So it doesn't. ZKPs do not require potential vulnerability trusted setup phase. We're claiming to be more scalable and efficient than ZK snarks. An iteration of ZKP used, for example, by privacy-focused group cryptocurrency Zcash. This could have a profound effect on Bitcoin users and how they interact with the network. To give Bitcoin developers easy access to ZKP, ZeroSync is developing a software development kit. Key part of the kit is a client which enables fast initial block download. This is one of the primary factors here in connecting to Bitcoin. One of the biggest problems people run into if they ever decide to download the now 550 gigabytes that is the blockchain network for Bitcoin is just getting the whole thing downloaded. It can take weeks on even on a medium speed connection. And in order to start, transacting, you have to kind of plan, half a month out. So this is going to make that way faster, to the point where it's like you do it and then you're just in. Syncing the Bitcoin blockchain would be painful, right? So according to ZeroSync, its client cannot be used can be used not only as a full node much faster, but also without needing to make any code changes to Bitcoin core software. That's brilliant. Every single time I see a more new progress being made on not just on Bitcoin, but on any kind of crypto in general, it's just brilliant. I just love it because it's like when we started out, everybody's like, well, we're glad this exists, but it's slow. And now we have ordinals, and of course that means a lot more data on the chain. But it also means that there's a whole new industry that's being developed out of it. It's this Satoshi Hunters thing that John's been talking about in previous episodes. So it's bringing more light and more intrigue back into the Bitcoin chain, and it's also meaning that people who are currently mining are also getting more money because there's a lot more transactions going on Bitcoin through Taproot and ordinals. So after years of frustration about slow sync, users will be able to sync with the network much faster and with much less computation. It's a technological leap akin to the transition from slow dial-up to high-speed broadband. Starkware, I guess that's, at this point, where we're going with it. I don't want to go too far in depth on this concept in general, but it's really exciting to see a functional tool make Bitcoin more useful. Not to say that Taproot didn't do that too, so it definitely did. Anywho, let's check in on the price of Bitcoin, see if it's gone up or down in the last, what's this been, 25 minutes? 28.5. Well, earlier today, just before we started the show, it was at 29. It had broken through up to 29, and now it's fallen almost back to where it was not that long ago. Let's see if we look at the 24-hour block here. Yeah, there we go. We got this nice little middle finger pointing up here in the middle. So it dropped off there from what, 20, almost 29,000 even, down to this little bounce point at 28.3, which is where it was just before it made the middle finger here. So kind of, you can see somebody flipping you off right there. Ha ha. I don't know what that was. Somebody got excited. Anyways, thank you everyone for checking out the news here today. Like I said, I'm broadcasting solo. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to do the interview with Kiva Coin, Kiva One. I'm really excited about doing that because I was a huge proponent of that coin. If you'd like to check us out here on Bitcoin, Ethereum, you can also make donations. We always appreciate that for anything you're watching the show. Raven and Evermore asset-aware wallets as well available, but a whole bunch of other coins. You can always check us out on Patreon, where we have extra content, the pre-show, the post-show, and all of our full shows for our guest interviews. You can make donations in regular old fiat through PayPal or buy me a coffee. You can check us out on Twitch if you're not already watching us there, like Polytech Tech Chat AI is all doing on a regular basis. Of course, through Twitch, probably I just mentioned that. Spotify, which used to be Anchor. YouTube, Odyssey, and of course, if you'd love to come talk to us, which we would love to have you, you can come see us on Discord and get that C3 Media token. So, thanks everyone for watching. As we say at the end of every single show, stack sats and hodl. Adios.